Hi, and welcome to Revel TA, the podcast brought to you by Prospectus Labs, where we talk with people and talent leaders in startups. Our mission is to empower the candidate-employer relationship in the future of work. You're tuned in with Nate Wylie. Nate is a talent acquisition leader and founder of Infinite Talent, a consulting firm specializing in recruitment for startups. Nate, great to have you.
Glad to be here, Brandon. Appreciate the invite.
Absolutely, man. Where are you based and what are you working on?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. So really trying to figure out what's the startup space around here. I've actually been plugged into a few people, and I'm starting to learn there are a lot more opportunities around here than I thought. I was having to do a lot of reach outs in other major markets, but something just dawned on me that I maybe should look at my front step first and see what I can do locally. But right now, I actually just signed up with a client that is trying to innovate in the electric aviation space. So that's been interesting to kind of get my head wrapped around that tech. They've created like a super quiet fan that they're trying to scale from, something as small as a bathroom fan up to the propulsion engines on a jet. So that's been fun to get to know them.
That's cool. Are they in the Charlotte area?
No, they're actually not. Actually, I came across them because one of my contacts that I used to work with at Lyft is over there now, and so we reconnected, and they're having some staffing challenges. So coming in, implement an ATS, implement some process, get them out of spreadsheets, and click up and get their candidates centralized and managed in an actual ATS system that we can utilize to help hiring velocity as well as to just streamline the process a lot more. But they're actually based out of Nashville.
Awesome. Well, you've been working in tech. You worked at Lyft. You've been a VP. You've been an operator from hands-on talent to leading teams. Tell me a little bit about your journey into entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I definitely a journey. Still trying to figure out if I make the right choice. I I say that, but I know every day I wake up I did, just because it was something that had been burning in my chest for a while, probably about a year and a half. I think not sure if you felt this way, but working in house and just having to just kind of embrace whatever plan, whatever strategy has been given to you. One thing they practice at Lyft that I actually utilize now, so I guess it was a positive, was disagree but commit, which is essentially to say like we can have a difference of opinion on how to go about things, but once we all agree this is the path we're going to go down, then we all put in 100% to make sure we get it done. So I did like that mentality. But after so many times, it's like, why am I disagreeing with everything? And so I'm also the type of person I feel like maybe I should go. Like maybe it's time for me to take a step back and figure out if there's another place that's better for me and what I want to do. Um, but that journey to entrepreneurship really just comes from me believing in myself and like I think I can build something. And I want to be challenged in that way every day. I want to be creative. I want um to the best of my ability control my time. I think that may have been the biggest myth I had in my mind. Oh, I'm gonna have all this time to do whatever I want. That's not the truth. Like I don't know where the hours in the day go. Uh, and so, and I always feel like almost every minute or every hour, every day, like I should be doing something other than what I'm doing. No matter how important that one thing is, there's always like two or three other things I feel like I could be doing as well. So just trying to manage that and just keep all that organized in my head and stay focused and sort of concentrate on what is going to push my business forward has been, probably the biggest learning since becoming an entrepreneur, but it's been fun.
Yeah, Nate, it's definitely an inspiration to see you out there every day. I know when I log on, I know you're putting in the work, putting in the hours. I've really enjoyed our conversations and getting to know you over the last couple of months. I make fast friendships. I definitely feel that way with how we vibed, and appreciate you as a recruiter, entrepreneur, content creator. We were introduced by Rob Gordon, who's the CEO of Black VC, perhaps the great connector of us all. How do you know Rob and the work he does within the Black VC community? And how do you think about networking?
So I've actually only talked to Rob once, which to the last part of that question, what I think about networking, it's funny just how an opportunity can blossom from an initial connection that you can't even foresee where it's going to go down the line. And so I actually reconnected with someone I used to work at Lyft. She's doing consulting for Slalom, and then I just reconnected with her on LinkedIn just to catch up and see what's been going on with her. And I was telling her about what I was trying to do and what I had going on, and she was like, "Oh, let me connect you with this great guy I know," and it was Rob. And so I reached out to Rob, told him, we had a mutual connection, and she said I should reach out to him. And he was like, "Great, yeah, I would love to chat." He was like, "Actually, um, busy week. I got time on Saturday if you're open for that." And so we we chatted on a Saturday. And that's when he told me about you. And he was like, "Hey, I know this guy named Brandon. He's in recruiting. And I think you guys would hit it off. You all seem to think alike and have a lot of, the same types of mentality and just also similar career paths. And that's how we got connected. And so I appreciate you accepting the invite. And here we are.
Yeah, I love how small the world is. That's something startup recruiting has taught me. Seeing the long tail of the network effect. When you place somebody, they come back around a couple of years later. They go on and they found companies. They do huge things, and that's something I don't lose sight of as a recruiter. Is how I get connected and placing people into companies. Like they put a lot of trust in me to make a leap for their financial security, their healthcare benefit security during a global pandemic. But I think a lot of us in recruiting enjoy the networking piece and the daily
Yeah.
motions of connecting with folks. Um, I know for me, working with hyper growth companies, like 2021 to 2022 was a crazy sprint. I actually didn't have time to have these types of dialogues and meet people and take those networking calls on a Saturday because I was so heads down building. Um, how do you find that time in the day now and balance running a business, creating content, running Career Hacker Nate, your consulting business? Like, how do you do it?
It's it's not easy. I'm not even gonna lie. I think for one, there really isn't a way to balance it. It's making a choice of what you're going to put more of your time and effort into. When I first became a entrepreneur and I resigned from my last role to go in on myself full time, I spent a lot more time, I think, trying to build up the Career Hacker Nate brand because that was fun, creating the content, shooting the videos. It was just all about LinkedIn connections and meeting with different people to talk through their career strategy and how they can best navigate their next moves. All that was just fun, and I felt like I was doing a great service to people, but I wasn't charging anyone, and so I had to think about, okay, like what am I actually doing? I wasn't putting as much effort, I can honestly say that, into building Infinite talent and trying to acquire new clients and actually do the work that I know is going to set me up financially in the way I want to be. Because I don't want to, you know, I don't like ever to make any generalized statements of what I won't ever do, but I don't have any plans to like charge individuals for reviewing a resume or looking at their LinkedIn or anything like that. That's something that costs me nothing but time. And so that's how I measure that. Like if I know I need to put more effort into my recruitment business, then I'll scale back on Career Hacker Nate and I'll transfer that time to something different. But I'm not going to start to charge people so that I'm getting paid for that time. I'll just take the time away. And so that's what I've been doing lately is just, people reach out wanting to connect. If I have the time, I'll try to squeeze it in somewhere, or else I'll tell them like, hey, can we meet week after next? Or, can we find some time maybe on a Saturday or something like that when I know I may have a little bit more bandwidth. But yeah, it's just really making a decision about what I want to focus on, and make sure I'm being very intentional with my time.
Awesome. Yeah, I think when you look from the outside in at folks on LinkedIn that have a tremendous following. Maybe real briefly, walk me through the timeline of you're on LinkedIn creating content to all of a sudden, 19,000 followers, people hitting you up all the time for career advice.
Yeah. So the following on LinkedIn was really organic, if I'm being honest. I've been recruiting now for like 12 years. And so I didn't even create a LinkedIn account until I got my first staffing recruiter role because I didn't need one. Like I like well, I did need one. I probably would have found a better job. But anyway, I wasn't aware of it. And so then when I got into staffing, it was like, oh, definitely set up a LinkedIn. And I was like, okay, what is this thing? And yeah, since then I've really it's been like one of my top, social media accounts. I feel like it's something that I'll definitely check daily. Um, because you're a recruiter, like jobs and careers and technology and how it all blends, like that's our world. I think now it's exciting to me. I tell a lot of people, I was like, I've been talking about careers and work and how to navigate, how to get promoted, when the job hop, salary negotiations. I feel like I've been talking about a lot of that stuff for a while, but nobody really wanted to hear it. And now like it's just so trendy. And now there are career influencers now. It's like, what the hell? Like, like, where did this come from? And so that's why now I think it's so much fun that I like, okay, I can really own it and step into this now. Um, but yeah, like it's the content and all that. I think I started with like the actual Career Hacker Nate brand, maybe like midsummer. Um, and even that, like it took me a while. Like I was scared. I didn't want to look stupid. Especially like talking into the camera. Like I've never done that. I never posted videos on Instagram of just me talking. I just felt like I was not that guy. And so that was a leap. So this year has been all about leaps for me, like stepping out of my comfort zone and doing things that I hadn't done before. And now it's gotten a lot more comfortable. And it doesn't hurt when people say, "Oh, I like your content," or "Hey, I watch your videos," and things like that. It's like that's the little bit of that pat on the back I need. Like, okay, like I don't look stupid. Like some people are actually actually listening to what I'm saying. So yeah, it's been fun.
Man, it's awesome to hear your side of it. Often we make like assumptions about people who are like LinkedIn famous or like blow up on TikTok or Instagram. The concept of like fame and relevancy is something that is evolving. But at the end of the day, like what I found is like people are just people.
Yeah,
And that's what I'm inspired by when I talk with you is seeing the work that you do for job seekers, seeing the time and energy that you put into it to make sacrifices, hearing you say things like making time on a Saturday or making room for one more call. You talk to a lot of people, your boots on the ground, ear to the ground. What are you hearing from candidates and job seekers in the market? Has like tech hiring rebounded? What are some things that you're hearing?
that's a good question. It's definitely a different market. I think just it comes down to two things for me that I've seen is volume and value. Um, it is going to take you a lot more applications if that's the way you're going about doing it typically, or it's going to take you a lot more LinkedIn reach outs or coffee chats or networking calls. And I think that's somewhere where individuals like us have an advantage. It comes very natural to us to send out a LinkedIn message where I talk to a lot of people who's never done that before, especially without having some sort of specific purpose. And I've actually had to take a step back and try to understand, like, how do I actually teach someone how to network? Because like I said, I've been recruiting for 12 years, so it's nothing for me to shoot a message out to someone for whatever reason. Like I can find something on your page to relate to or comment on or something. Like I can get in your inbox in some kind of way. But if you've been in finance or if you are just in general operations or some other career field, you may have never had to do that before. I've talked to people who said they've always found jobs by someone that they work with brought them on or something like that. And so they've never really had to apply or really interview in a sense. And so they're literally starting from scratch. Like, how do I go about navigating this job search? And I've heard that from a lot of people. I do think the jobs themselves are bouncing back, but with there being, such a large amount of talent to kind of pick and choose from, companies do get to, select the best of the best, for lack of a better term. And so that's why I say that value part. And that's what I try to recommend to people now. Like, you have to figure out a way to very quickly convey what value you're going to add to this company or to this individual that you're speaking with. Um, it's not good enough that you want the role or that you've done a similar role. Like, you have to go a little bit deeper and be able to really tell them, I understand your problem, I fix that, and I can fix it for you. And almost to a point to where they feel like they need you in a sense, because that is a big problem for them. And so being able to solve those problems and being able to provide solutions is what I'm seeing in the job market. Like, how can you come in and actually improve something, something, implement something, and make a company operate better than before you got there. Um, I think oftentimes people just got stuck in their heads like, oh, there's a job open, so I have the background. Let me fill that for you. And it's just not that black and white anymore.
Absolutely. What comes to mind, I agree with all of that. There's a concept of like candidate enablement that
Hmm.
has been top of mind and circulating. And when tech hiring was crazy and we had to like chase candidates, drag them into interview processes and really optimize for pass through rates, yield ratios, enabling the candidates, setting them up for success was something that I was really working on. But I don't think that changes even when there's more supply on the candidate side. I think our role as recruiters and talent partners, whether we're in house or independent, um, is streamlining and presenting the best and still focusing on a high percentage of pass through rates. But are you seeing clients that you work with kind of balloon interview processes with increased number of stages, more complex assessments? How do you focus on still delivering top talent without sending them through the ringer of 7 and 8 interviews?
Yeah. Any client I work with, or hiring manager, or even a call I may have with a leader that's doing some hiring, and maybe we're not partnering, but we're just having a discussion. I do always, I do fall back on trying to keep things as simple as possible. And that doesn't mean lowering the bar. That doesn't mean, giving people a shot or an opportunity. I just feel like that goes in line with, okay, you don't want to have to grade a bunch of tests, or you don't want to have to spend a bunch of time interviewing people, and they don't want to spend a bunch of time having to go through those interviews. So it's really a win-win. Like, let's figure out what is the best process to assess this talent. What are we needing them to do? What do we need from them? Um, I like to I don't like to use the word culture fit that much, but it is a relevant term. I think it's important to understand what kind of person will be successful here. What are they walking into? Because whether it's a toxic environment or whatever, I guarantee you, like, somebody's going to fill the role. But some people can handle toxic environments better than others, and so I need to find someone with tougher skin, because usually that's what the situation is going to call for. Like, you're not going to necessarily be able to change that company in the amount of time that you need to run a hiring process. So you need to find someone who can come in, deal with the current state while you work on fixing the environment. But yeah, I try my best to simplify a process, and you can do that through technology, through hopefully a good ATS tool. But I try to point out as well when it feels like a hiring team is just doing this to either stall or because they don't feel confident in making a hiring decision. I've seen that before, that they just want to prolong it until someone just calls and throw their hands up and say, yeah, I'll hire them or we'll take them. And then I think it's really just kind of not trying to take ownership of the decision, which, as a leader, I don't know why that would be a thing, but I've seen that before. but I get it. I mean, dedicating that sort of spin to someone that you really don't know what they can or will do until they get there. I think that's just always a little nerve wracking for some leaders.
Totally. When you think about like leadership and having, tough skin to make it in tech, what are some other critical skills that you think about assessing or folks should be preparing as they think about a career in tech or, for founders or early stage companies? Like, what do you think they're actually looking for in people that are going to take the company to the next level?
I'm on a big kick now of just trying to get smarter um, in every way. I try my best, and sometimes it's overwhelming because technology is moving so fast, and even I'm signed up for a ton of newsletters that are all these great reports on the state of TA and candidate experience, and oftentimes I'm saving them. My desktop is just full of all these different ebooks, and I keep saying I need set time to go actually review them. But yeah, you should definitely. I don't think it's always enough now to understand the current state of your industry or your job function, but where is it heading, and trying to make sure that you're you may not be tip of the spear, but you should definitely have a good understanding of what direction it's moving and what isn't sort of the industry doing anymore. You don't want to get stuck in the old ways. And now, when you're looking for a new job, you can't even speak about how to up level an organization in that particular job function. That would be one thing. So definitely getting smarter, being agile, um, and honestly just being an executor, like getting things done. um Even I've seen several successful people in the tech space. They may not get it 100% right, but they deliver that first iteration of a project or a product or something very quickly in a way that it impresses you to a point of like, okay, like we need to make some tweaks, but damn, like this is 60% of it. Like, like we're getting there. And that I feel like that goes a lot further than the person who asks for extensions or, can we push this back, trying to get it 100% before you see anything. So yeah, like being smart and being able to execute and sort of having that agile mindset are three of the traits I would say.
Yeah, that's awesome. I couldn't agree more on just like getting something shipped. I'm a big mantra guy, so like progress, not perfection. Um, and like the concept of continuous improvement in startups, just get something across the line. I've been talking with an engineer recently who talks about like building a minimum viable product, knowing that you're going to completely scrap it after the next fundraise and build the scalable version of the product. And I think you got to have these challenging moments and forcing functions where you just get things across the line, and know that you can improve on it later through staying humble, welcoming feedback, and opening up dialogue for folks that can help see around corners or provide inspiration. I never know where creativity is going to come from, and I think recruiting is definitely part art and part science. We're
Yeah.
talking a lot about science lately, technology, assessment, artificial intelligence, but there's still an art. And at the end of the day, the way I think about people making talent decisions for their career and assessing talent, like candidates are always going to take jobs based on the foundation of their hierarchy of needs around financial security. I think that's really hard to replace without the art of human connection and our ability to influence human behavior, extract the right data, and hopefully support people in that journey. um, you've talked about comp in the past. You've done a lot of coaching around compensation. Maybe I'd love to hear your thoughts on comp right now in the market. How are companies, how are candidates thinking about comp changes versus 18 months ago?
That's a great question. Um, I think it depends on. It's very individualized. Let me say that. I think in the individuals I've been speaking with, it varies. There are people who I know when I first got into the tech space, like equity was huge. Like that was a big component of the compensation package because this was before COVID, this was before all the layoffs, and so it made a lot of sense to want that. Whereas now I feel like it's almost like a cash grab. I see a lot more appetite for sign-on bonuses and a larger base. Um, Understanding that I don't know what the future may hold. And so like I want to make sure I have, myself set up financially, in case, they need to do layoffs in 4 months, 6 months, 9 months. I have all that money up front. I would say that's one of the biggest differences I've seen.
Yeah, I agree. I think equity and the nature of equity in startups has significantly shifted, and it's not what it was 5 years ago. It's not what it was 10 years ago. There's a lot of great tools and resources out there for job seekers to get educated around equity and total compensation structures.
Hmm.
So great to hear you've got a finger on the pulse. Let's stay tuned for more, and we'll follow up here shortly. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks so much for tuning into the Rebel TA podcast. It's your boy Brando here. I've really enjoyed this conversation with Nate, and he and I actually decided to take a breather and continue the second half of the conversation in a future show. So I hope you'll tune in. Nate dropped a ton of great knowledge on us, from what it takes to source candidates and place them into early stage startups. I've been doing the same, and there's a lot of different ways to approach sourcing, but one thing Nate said is being able to get into people's inboxes. Over the last few years, I've looked at a ton of tools for sourcing, and I've used a variety of strategies with large licenses and large budgets to scrappier approaches. One of the tools that I've found to be super helpful for getting into people's email is Contact Out. Contact Out is a Chrome extension that scrapes user emails so you can get right into a quality personal email address, so you can kick off the top of funnel conversation to fill your recs. You can use promo code BrandonJeffs10 for 10% off your subscription with Contact Out. I've used this tool a bunch. I A/B tested against other Chrome extensions that pull email addresses, and I'm always impressed with the quality emails I'm able to achieve. Stay tuned for the second half of the conversation with Nate Wylie, where we talk a little bit more about his journey as a recruiter, entrepreneur, and founder.